It's time to say goodbye to Xbox as we know it. What is up, y'all? I am Ray, and this is my channel, Xbox Ready, where we get on and we talk about Xbox stuff. The latest news, rumors, games, accessories, hardware, pretty much anything I want to talk about as long as it's about Xbox in some way. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about, well, okay, you'll see in a sec. See, at the beginning of this generation, me and a bunch of other fans and content creators, we were under the impression that Xbox was going to address one of its most persistent problems, a lack of console exclusives. Why else would they be buying up all of those studios and publishers? Fast forward to today, and it seems like they are going the complete opposite direction. Sure, a lot of their biggest titles, especially after their spending spree, were already multi-platform, franchises like Minecraft, for example. They even honored existing deals with PlayStation after acquiring Bethesda. But again, if we're just looking at Bethesda, the expectation was that, well, from Starfield and onward, Bethesda games were going to be exclusive to Xbox. It seemed like something that they were excited about. They were doubling down in interviews saying, no, Starfield's going to be exclusive to Xbox. We don't care that historically Bethesda RPGs have been multi-platform. They were saying all this stuff about, oh, developing Starfield for just one platform, Xbox. That helped us out immensely in terms of our workflow. Exclusives are awesome. Then everything changed when Activision Blizzard attacked. Well, sort of. No one truly knows why Xbox has been so gung-ho in this multi-platform strategy lately. It's likely a combination of things, but the only people who really know are the people who work at Microsoft and Xbox. But we know one thing for certain, and that's after the Activision Blizzard deal closed, late 2023, Xbox started doing some things that it had never done before. Specifically taking games that historically were Xbox exclusive, like Sea of Thieves, and putting them on PlayStation 5. Suddenly we started to see this domino effect. Oh wait, hold on, wait a minute. If Call of Duty and other Activision Blizzard games are going to be multi-platform, why not Bethesda games? Why not any of the other franchises that Xbox has under their umbrella? And fans have been left wondering, sometimes even trying to delude themselves. Oh, they would never port over Halo. Oh, they would never do Gears. Oh, they would never do Fable. There's been so much back and forth, and you know how I said earlier that the only people who know are the people who work at Microsoft and Xbox? You know what? I take that back. I don't even think they know. One minute we're hearing about Project Latitude. They're saying, no, nothing's off limits when it comes to games that we want to port to other consoles. Then the next minute they're like, no, wait a minute. Every game is on a case-by-case basis. We look at it objectively, whether or not it's going to have a PlayStation 5 version. Just last week at the Game Awards, we saw a trailer for The Outer Worlds 2, developed by Obsidian, which is owned by Xbox. But no, it's not going to be an Xbox exclusive. It's going to come to PlayStation 5 because, well, the first Outer Worlds game was on PlayStation, running very counter to that logic that I was just talking about, where they were like, no, we don't care if other Bethesda RPGs were on PlayStation. Starfield's just going to be Xbox. But then there's Avowed, another Obsidian RPG that's supposed to come out in 2025, a game that we have also assumed is going to be exclusive to Xbox, a day one addition to Game Pass. But what's the status on that? I literally heard from a PR person at the Gamescom LA event that they did that there's not going to be a PlayStation 5 version. I don't know how long that's going to last, but apparently it's not going to be long because Jez Corden over at Windows Central is convinced that the age of true Xbox exclusives is over. In response to someone on Twitter, he literally said, Xbox won't have exclusives going forward. Everything is timed exclusive at most. And suddenly, all of these exclusive games are Xbox games that we were looking forward to in 2025 as fans. Games like Avowed, South of Midnight, Gears of War E-Day. The exclusivity status of all of those games are up in the air. Suddenly, the idea that, no, Xbox would never do this franchise, that's in real danger. It looks like they would totally do that. And so the question becomes, why? Why would they get rid of exclusives? In an age where an Xbox Series X is functionally identical to a PS5 minus a couple of teraflops here and there, a couple of, extra gigs in the SSD. In an age where consoles are basically a wash at that level, at that price range, how is Xbox going to differentiate itself from its competition? How are they going to convince people to buy an Xbox console when you can just buy a PlayStation 5, you can buy a Steam Deck, you can buy an ROG Ally, and have access to all of those games anyway? Well, the reality is, and I wish there was a better term for this, but it appears that they just don't give a We've learned so much about the inner workings of being a platform holder, a hardware manufacturer, especially over the past couple of years. And we know that acquiring customers through a traditional one-to-one console sale, that's expensive, especially for Xbox. It's no secret that they lose money on every console sold. They sell it to us with the hope that we'll buy a bunch of games, we'll subscribe to Game Pass, and hopefully make up the difference. And the numbers don't lie, that's been a losing battle for them when compared to PlayStation and Nintendo Switch sales. This is an Xbox campaign, oh, your computer can be an Xbox, your phone, any gaming handheld. It allows them to expand without sinking further money into hardware. The users that they gain from PC and cloud gaming, once they get that all figured out, that has the potential to far outweigh any of the hardcore fans that they would lose by ditching consoles or exclusives. But here's the thing, they won't do away with consoles yet. They're going to continue supporting the consoles that are already out there, especially the 4 new ones that they've introduced over the past year. Because even though they might not have sold as many Xbox Series consoles as PlayStation 5s, they've still sold close to 30 million? That's not something that you can just abandon. On top of that, as much as they want to say, oh, your phone's an Xbox, your iPad's an Xbox because you can play cloud gaming with it, the truth is that cloud gaming, the tech is just not there yet. I don't care how many times you show me the trailer, this is not an Xbox. It just isn't. There are so many things I cannot do on this that I can on my Xbox console. And that's not even taken into account if you live in an area where cloud gaming just kind of sucks for you. So cloud gaming especially, sure, there's potential in that, but as it is right now, it's not enough to offset what they would lose if they just decided to say F you to their entire console user base. On top of that, they've already confirmed that they're working on new consoles. So at least through next generation, we're going to have some sort of Xbox. But it's on life support. Phil Spencer has already come out and said, you know what, guys? We love our console users, but the growth is just not there. That's not where we're growing in terms of our business. We're just not seeing it. And that's not a good sign for the longevity of consoles beyond next generation. Microsoft wants money. They want growth. So yeah, while they'll continue to support it, the question is for how long? Microsoft gave Xbox billions of dollars to go out and buy Activision Blizzard, when they could have, I don't know, used that money to invest in whatever AI crap they're trying to work on. And you better believe that they intend to collect. Speaking of Microsoft, Satya Nadella recently just had a call with shareholders where he said that they were trying to redefine what it means to be an Xbox fan. Yes, redefine. Now, that rubs me the wrong way. Why do we have to redefine what it means to be an Xbox fan? I've been an Xbox fan for years at this point. I've supported them through all the ups and downs. The Xbox One was my main console for years. They have a loyal, rabid fan base, and now it kind of feels like we got to redefine things. It feels a little bit like a slap in the face. Okay, that might be a little dramatic because, well, I still like my Xbox, and it is kind of cool that I can play my Xbox games on other pieces of technology, sure. But I've already said this, the phone, it's not an Xbox. It's just not. And it's not just Xbox that's undergoing these changes. No, change is coming for everyone in the gaming industry. Thanks to certain research firms, we know that gaming coming out of 2020 has kind of plateaued. It hasn't grown. Basically, it's as big as it's ever gonna get when you're just looking at the home console gaming market. On top of that, there have been an insane amount of layoffs, not just at Xbox, but at so many other companies. It's got many people wondering, is TikTok to blame? I'm of course referring to Sean Layden when he was like, yeah, short form content, that's what Gen Alpha wants. They don't want to play video games, they want to watch their favorite streamers play, they themselves don't want to play. Damn, it's that damn phone, I knew it. It's just like my parents always said. That seems a little bit extreme. I feel like kids do still want to play video games. That interest is still there. I was a kid once. I was a kid in a very different era, sure, but if you showed me a video game, I was like, I want to play that. But I do believe that short form content has changed a lot of stuff. It's ruined my brain. So on the other end, I can kind of believe that theory too. But okay, it's not all doom and gloom though. Sure, Xbox might leave console exclusives behind. They might leave hardware behind at some point in the future. But is Xbox dead? Is this the end of Xbox? This is probably like the 8th time that you've heard this year. And I'm gonna go out on a limb here. There are a lot of things that frustrate me about the situation. There are a lot of things I think are cool, but I'm gonna go ahead and say that no, Xbox is not dead. First of all, I question how many people care about console exclusives anymore outside of my own little bubble of hardcore Xbox fans. Some people have done polls on Twitter like, oh, do you still care about Xbox exclusives? Would you leave Xbox? But again, it's hard to get an actual opinion that's not just like the echo chamber of social media. I can only assume that the majority of people do not care. Xbox wouldn't be doing any of this if they experienced any serious backlash outside of Twitter and YouTube. If they released those games earlier this year, Sea of Thieves, Hi-Fi Rush, Grounded, and Pentiment to other consoles, and they saw like a massive downturn in their player base, then I'm sure they'd be like, no, this is a bad idea. But they didn't, or at least I assume they didn't. Xbox at this point is technically making the most money that it ever has, even when you compare it to the glory days of the Xbox 360. They're apparently seeing record engagement on consoles, and the games that they've been pumping out recently, like Black Ops 6, Indiana Jones, Stalker 2, people really like them. Indiana Jones and Stalker 2, they're towards the top in terms of the most played games on Xbox consoles. They're the only single-player games that are there. And I gotta be honest with myself, a true multi-platform future would be dope, honestly. Like, I would love to buy just one box and play all of my games on it. If I don't have to buy a PlayStation, a Nintendo, an Xbox, and a PC just to make sure I can play all the games I want to, that honestly sounds like a win for me and my wallet. But it's dependent on a lot of ifs, though. That's if Xbox can make nice with these other platform holders that hold the licensing and the IP and stuff. If they can roll out Xbox Play Anywhere to all of their titles. If PlayStation continues to put their stuff on PC. The whole thing is risky because, well, it's never been done before. It's boom or bust for Xbox. It's either going to turn out great or it's going to flop like all the stuff they were trying in the Xbox One generation. But if Xbox exclusives are truly dead, we're only going to be getting timed exclusives from now on. I wanted to take a moment to reflect on some of my favorite Xbox exclusives of all time. In no particular order, the first one I gotta bring up is the original Fable game. I've talked about it a lot on this channel before. I'm really excited for Playground Games' take on this. But the original Fable on the OG Xbox sparked my love for fantasy RPGs. It rewired my brain chemistry. Up until that point, I had never experienced a game where I would have consequences for my actions, branching narratives, and having the choices that I make in game affect my physical appearance. That was mind-blowing to me. And the fact that quests and the main story to the game had different endings, I was replaying that like crazy. Even in terms of the build, I was like, okay, first time I'm gonna do a skill build, and then I was like, well, I gotta do a physique and toughness build. Oh, now I gotta do a will build. So many great moments with that game. I can remember the first time I ran into a Balverine and how terrified I was. It seems cheesy now because you look back and the graphics are kind of outdated or goofy looking or whatever, but still, so many great memories with that game. Also on that OG Xbox, Fusion Frenzy. Me and my siblings loved that game. We were addicted to it. And playing it now, it's like this captures the 2000s vibe and aesthetic perfectly. It's like a time capsule. The mini game where you have to jump and duck under the pipes, I still think about that. It was so addictive. Halo 3. Ooh, how does this give me chills so many years later still? Okay, this is no knock on Combat Evolved or Halo 2, but above all else, Halo 3, like many of you watching, holds a very special place in my heart. It pretty much defined what Xbox was for me. Community, getting together, having LAN parties, playing online through Xbox Live. And it's not a feeling that I've been able to recapture in my older gaming years. I would spend hours grinding my officer rank, and when it got to the point where you had to win a certain amount of games in order to get promoted, and losing that one game before you got to the next rank, I spent hours making my own crappy maps in Forge mode and playing through others. I even tried my hand at Machinima because I was also obsessed with Red vs. Blue. Oblivion? The Elder Scrolls Oblivion? Again, this is another one of those games that seems outdated and goofy now, but at the time, this blew me away. And sure, it's not a true Xbox exclusive, but when it launched, it was only on PC and the 360. The PlayStation 3 version came out a little bit later, like a year later, I think. Me and my buddy Matt were obsessed with this game, and we heard a rumor that every NPC in the game had a separate life. They did things day in and day out like they were living their own lives. And when we heard that, we were like, okay, we've done everything we can in the game. Let's follow these NPCs around and see what they're up to and just observe them throughout their day. Oblivion was about possibilities, endless adventure, the promise that you could truly live this other epic life. And while yes, Skyrim was iconic as well, I loved the aesthetic of Cyrodiil and the Imperial Empire. I'm also going to throw in Gears of War 2 and 3. I mean, you can put the whole Gears franchise as an iconic Xbox exclusive that no one can live without. But Gears 2 and 3 to me, again, this is no knock on the first Gears of War, which was awesome, but I have very fond memories working through 2 and 3 with my buddy Robin. He always played as Dom, so, you know, when that happened, crazy. That was a huge emotional hit to us. We had to put the game down for a little bit after that. We also had a similar moment because we used to play Borderlands 1 and 2 together. He used to play as Roland, and well, a certain something happens to Roland in Borderlands 2 that just had us completely shook. I feel like a game hasn't had me, from a narrative standpoint, completely shook in a really long time. Last one I'll throw in is BioShock. Now, again, this was another one of those games that's not an Xbox exclusive, but at the time when I bought it and I played it, it was. It was the first Xbox 360 game that I bought using my own money that I had actually earned. And I will never forget this experience because I went in thinking that I was gonna buy Two Worlds, one of the worst RPGs of all time. And I distinctly remember the GameStop employee being like, are you sure you wanna buy that, man? I was like, well, I'm either thinking this or BioShock, but I really liked Oblivion, so I think I'll like Two Worlds. He was like, I don't know, man, I really think you're gonna like BioShock a lot more than Two Worlds. Keep in mind, this was a time when there wasn't like a ton of information about games, reviews and stuff from content creators. This was a time when most of the time I went in blind when I bought and tried games. And damn it, I am forever indebted to that GameStop employee whose name I do not remember, because I will never, ever forget the first time that I went and saw Rapture. Is a man not entitled to the sweat of his brow? And the adventure that awaited me, it's something that I never ever would have expected. So if the end of Xbox exclusives are truly at an end, let's at least go out with a bang. Tell me about your favorite Xbox exclusives that you've played through in your time as an Xbox fan. Let me know your feelings about this whole, multi-platform Xbox thing. I know a lot of people aren't gonna care. I get comments on that all the time. I'm like, okay, well, you cared enough to comment. But either way, if you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for listening to my ramblings. I would really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel. I'm currently trying to get to 200,000 subs, a nice even number. I'm at like 180 something right now. Thanks again for watching, y'all, and we'll see you in the next video.